Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Today, the Vikings one-hit wonder all-time team. You will hear the name Don Holtz.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan with Wide Left. I don't have anything clever to say today. I'm sorry.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. The pool is deep. We should be able to argue for about 2 hours about all these one-hit wonders.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Arif Hasan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talks Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
What's happening? Welcome in on a Thursday. Minnesota Football Party, Locked On Sports Minnesota, and the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first watch or listen today. And for your second one, you got to make it Luke Braun with Locked On Vikings. Find us streaming on the Locked On Vikings YouTube channel or the Locked On Vikings audio feed after the fact. We're also streaming on the Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel. In the business, we call that a simulcast. Before the show is over, we rank the Vikings' top 3 position groups. We love ranking stuff. We've got the all-time Vikings one-hit wonder team. That'll take up the meat of the show. It's going to get heated. Ron Johnson joins, of course, and we'll get the take of one Luke Braun and Arif Hasan on Kevin O'Connell's snub from the heralded PFF top 10 coaches list. Snubbed, neglected. That's all coming
Cast aside.
He's a pariah. That's all coming up on today's Minnesota Football Party. Let's rank some stuff to start the show.
This is Minnesota Sports Rankum, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
Arif, why are you talking during the intro? I mean, don't spoil the epicness of that bumper music.
Does it not mute everybody?
Respect, no.
I'm not seeing. Should there have been one? Because I don't see it. Normally,
you didn't see a graphic?
No.
What?
Oh, what is going on?
Yeah. Okay. So I was like, "Hey, there should be something here."
You're like, why?
And apparently, there was something.
Why is Sam quiet?
Podcast.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, why? Why is no one going to acknowledge this awkward silence?"
Game time. Yes, Rankum is the final boss. Andrew, we're here. Come on, fashionably late. It's a party. No one shows up on time to a party. All right.
Rue.
Position groups ranked. I want your top 3. Top 3 Minnesota Vikings position groups going into 2025. Start with number 3. Luke Braun. Hit me.
Position groups of the Vikings ranked. Number 1, wide receiver. Number 2, tackle.
I'm supposed to start at 3.
Did you hear what I said?
Oh.
Number 3.
No, I did not.
I said Luke Braun. Number 3. Hit me.
No. Okay, number 3, edge rusher.
All right, edge. Thank you. That's my number 3 also.
Okay.
Yep.
I
giggle good. Dallas Turner. Like if you believe Brian Flores about 3 starters, you got depth.
I went a little bit broader. I considered the offensive and defensive lines like a whole group. So the defensive line actually ended up as my number 4, and I included edge rusher as part of that. But I'm willing to be argued down because I don't really feel strongly about these rankings in any capacity. So my number 3 is like tight end, because having 2 outstanding tight ends is pretty rare, I think, even if they have a depth problem. Like, yeah, we talk about how they need a better tight end 3. I don't know that Giovanni Ricci is going to handle it. But
the Italian stallion, Arif. Let's
my
go.
bad.
Keep the
I'm
brand
sorry.
going.
But I
Josh
just
Oliver,
think that
best
those top
blocking
two are
tight
so
end in the
strong.
league
Yeah.
per Bill Barnwell.
There you
Somebody outside of the organization said it. Oh my goodness.
go. That's crazy. So that's my take.
Is it possible that, well, I don't know where you guys are going with 1 and 2. Is it possible that offensive line is number 1 by the end of the year?
I actually
Possible,
have
sure.
them as number 1.
You do?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, no,
we get-
number 0 obviously is quarterback, but
I mean, I had tackle at number 2, so I'm close to there. I don't know what to make of the interior yet, but I like the promise and I like the potential. And Neal and Darrisaw is as good a tandem as you'll find in the league. So that's my number 2. Braun, where'd you go? Number 2.
I went with tackle at number 2 as well.
You did?
Yeah.
So
as good a tandem in the league. I didn't do the thing with Arif that Arif did where I did the whole offensive line. I think that would have changed things for me just because there is like a rookie. There's something of an unknown there. And at tackle, it's, I don't know, 2 Pro Bowlers. What more do you want?
no, that's reasonable. For me, the reason I put wide receiver at 2 is just because of the depth. I think that matters more than it does at tight end, right? Like I think that you're going to see a lot of significant snaps from wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 or whatever. And I am less confident in how that situation will play out than I am in, I guess, the how much the rookie left guard packs as 1 of 5 as opposed to 1 of 3. So that's kind of it. Like, it's not that I think Ryan Kelly is the best center in the world, but I think he's good. It's not that I think Will Fries is the best right guard in the world. I think he's good. But you do have a guy who's contending to be the best left tackle in the league, Christian Darrisaw. I would argue that the distance between, where Darrisaw is ranked to his peers versus where Jefferson is ranked to his peers is smaller, right? Like Jefferson is a better receiver than Darrisaw is a tackle, but I think, we're kind of splitting hairs at that point. And given that, I like the quote unquote drop off to, Brian O'Neill and Will Fries than the drop off to from Jordan Addison to Ty Felton or whatever. So that's why I put offensive line number 1 is just, I think that cohesively as a unit, when you compare it to units across the league, it is in a better state than wide receiver.
Braun, you're number 1.
My number 1 is wide receiver for similar reasons where I actually feel a little better about the depth, but in the event someone goes down. I think I might be just higher on Jalen Naylor than most Vikings fans. I think Jalen Naylor dropped a few passes over a stretch in November and everyone thinks he's cuttable now. Chill.
That's fair.
Everybody's in the organization seems to be he seems to have the wide receiver 3 job on lock. He's not competing for that. And there still seems to be this air of oh, he's going to lose his job to Lucky Jackson. No, I don't think he is. I don't know if he's going to get signed back.
Find me one person who said that, but I agree.
Sam?
It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
Lucky Jackson.
Ty Jackson's going to take it, or Ty Felton's going to take it.
Ty Jackson.
Yep, we're doing great this morning. But I feel okay with him as a wide receiver. I think he's a perfectly appropriate wide receiver 3. And then I think you've got Jefferson and Addison, which is a duo I would put up against any duo in the league. And if one of those guys goes down, and now we're talking about Rondale Moore or Ty Felton or something like that, I think I feel better about that than if somebody on the O-line goes and we're well, Justin School and Walter Rouse. I think I feel better about Rondale
so it's about
Moore
injury durability, because when I'm speaking about receiver
the full depth chart,
yeah, I get what you mean. So for me, I didn't go in that direction just because I'm just looking at who I expect to take snaps, which is why tight end also ended up pretty high on my list. Right? It's just I think we just looked at that differently, right? Because I think your 5th offensive lineman matters a little less, but it matters a lot relative to your wide receiver 3, right? But wide receiver 4, 5, 6 versus offensive lineman 6, 7, 8, not part of what I looked at, but I think that that's a pretty fair way of evaluating a list like this.
Yeah, and going to edge, because I said edge, and yeah, we did it different because we did different versions of the groups, but looking at edge, if Andrew Van Ginkel goes down and Dallas Turner becomes the starter, the team is theoretically all right with that. If Josh Oliver goes down and we've got significant Giovanni Ricci minutes, I don't think that was the plan.
We got real quick into dismissing Gavin Bartholomew on the show.
Is he alive? Are they like? Is he going to be?
We're not
at
sure.
the facility sometimes.
Yeah, he's in the Rondale Moore world for me, which I guess I did talk about him. So
Not
fair
real
enough.
until he starts practicing.
Yeah, where you don't exist until you show me until you exist. You know, like you could very well be dealing with a season-ending ACL injury, and the team just hasn't had a reason to tell the media that yet, and they don't really care to.
Jalen Naylor, I do want to point this out as the wide receiver 3. So this is not when he was replacing Jordan Addison. He had 1 or 0 catches in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the 14 games. Just want to point that out. He had a great game against Green Bay at home. Great game against Green Bay. Otherwise, I don't know if he flashed a whole lot in that wide receiver 3 role. I just want to point that out.
I don't think that role is for flashing. That role is for showing up when Jordan Addison's ankle is hurt or when he's on a suspension and running cardio. Otherwise, that's the job. Because, like, I mean, you're the 5th receiving option on the field.
Okay,
like,
so what's
honest,
a
right?
good,
After
what's a good wide receiver 3 season?
The one Jalen Naylor just had. It's fine. The reason he didn't get, if you look at those games where he got no catches, are those all not games where Justin Jefferson was going out for like 150 yards? Like, there's a reason for that.
Good argument.
I mean, you're not totally wrong.
Not totally wrong. Okay.
Sam, I would have led with like Jarius Wright or something. Like I would have led with here's the comparison I'm making.
Like KJ Osborne had these moments.
Not have a lot of big seasons either.
Oh, okay. So maybe Luke is making an argument here then, huh? Because he's fondly remembered as a wide receiver 3.
Yeah, like what are our expectations? I think maybe we should realign. Like, what are our expectations for a wide receiver 3? I feel like we look at a wide receiver 3 and we're like, that guy should get like 900 yards. Like, no, he shouldn't.
900.
Like, I feel like that happens sometimes, and I remember
my
so many
expectations for a wide receiver 3 are the years where Tyler Boyd was wide receiver 2. That's what I want in a wide receiver.
Like, I remember so many years of Diggs and Thielen, and then being like Kendall Wright, he's our wide receiver 3, and then and like people wanting like a first round wide receiver so that you could do 3 deep again. I know that a lot of us grew up with 3 deep. That's not happening again.
It's a pretty narrow band, right? Like if you have a wide receiver 3 that has a 400-yard season, good. 500-yard season, you could even say great. 600-yard season, excellent, right? And if it's below 400 yards, you're probably saying, yeah, probably need to upgrade. The BB bar. What's the BB bar? Tell us.
The BB bar is 200.
200.
Yeah, the BB bar is 20 catches for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Those were bad 200 yards, by the way. I wanted, like, we've had wide receivers with better 200 yards than BB's 200 yards.
Yeah, and that's not about wide receivers. That's more about like guys who, if you didn't cross the BB bar, I am not guaranteeing that you made. This is about like Tyler Johnson. It's like, you can't be mad that we don't have Tyler Johnson when he can't cross the BB bar.
That's fair. Yeah. Like a Mendoza line of madness. I like that.
No one's going to throw running back in their top 3. Except me. I'm throwing it in my top.
Except me. Where? Didn't you already give us your top 3? Who are you knocking off?
Running back's number 1. It's the best running back group in the NFL.
You don't think that. That's not a thing that you think.
Saquon Barkley exists.
I think they've got 2 number 1s. No, I'm just...
Wait, am I going crazy? Is Kenneth Gainwell not in Philadelphia anymore? Because
no, I don't think he is. No, we're stirring the pot. But I think they're. I think
Darby chose AJ Dillon in Philly. What are you doing, Sam?
I don't know that Sam knows what he's doing.
The strength of the RB2. The strength of the RB2 is my basis.
Okay.
Alexander's absolutely right. Sam just wants to argue. Let's get into our one-hit wonder team. That's coming up. Best one-off seasons, putting together a full offense and a full defense. This is going to be fun. Brought to you by Monarch Money today. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? Monarch Money, it can be easier. Whether you're growing your savings, planning and budgeting for a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO. You got full visibility, full control over your finances. It's a complete financial command center, people. Helps you build wealth. It's all in one app. You can categorize your expenses. You can track your accounts. You see what your net worth is. It's very convenient, very handy, very easy to see, very transparent. You can even share it and work on it with your partner at home. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
Sam,
right.
I have to do one to you, okay? Because the Houston Texans have Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb.
Okay, so they've got a walking ACL tear and
I missed that news item. I did not realize that Nick Chubb was in Houston.
You're right. Like Aaron Jones has never been hurt. That's a really good point, Sam.
Yeah, neither of these guys have injury.
Played 17 games last year. I'm just the world's biggest Jordan Mason fan. This is the hill that I'm going to die on. Jordan Mason is really, really good.
I fancy myself a Jordan Mason fan as well. But yeah, you take it to another level.
Name his top 5 albums.
Also, Ty Chandler, buy low. Buy low on the Ty Chandler stock.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm on.
We can
I'll get right on
that one. Is he going to win the kick return job? Or
you ever play craps? I'm on the pass line. I'm on the pass line with Ty Chandler. If you want to be in the dope pass, you can do that, but nobody likes you when you're on the dope pass.
That just means you're what? Going chalk and expecting him to make the roster because the only other guys that can knock him off are like 2 undrafted rookies.
No, he's going to do some stuff this year. The one-hit wonder team. Now, you can have your own definition. I don't really care what definition you use, but my definition, one-hit wonder, they were on the Vikings. They had one great year. They might have played multiple years for the Vikings, but they had one outlier season that exceeded expectations. And the quarterback debate is unbelievable.
This is going to be incredible.
Okay, so
I
shout out candidates. Shout out candidates.
Probably more. So
we
got
Darnold Keenum.
Yeah, Darnold Keenum, obviously. Favre, and then here's the one that sucks, Cunningham.
Cunningham is an absolute contender.
That's why I said it sucks. Like,
one good year, but more than 1 year as Vikings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so that's
I'm
not
not saying that has to be like you could have just shown up 1 year and balled out and left, and I think that would count.
Yeah. But like Brett Favre played 2 years as a Viking. It's just that only one of them was good, and this counts toward one-hit wonder.
I think so.
Well, I mean, that's, I think, part of the debate, right? And I think quarterback is a great way to introduce that debate, because without that, then neither Cunningham nor Favre count, obviously, right? But with that,
can I just throw Jeff George out there as an honorable mention?
Right. Like, I think for a lot of teams' histories, Jeff George would be a remarkable candidate. And here, look, man, you're not getting past Keenum.
He's not even on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. It's like arguing about the Mount Rusher of edge rushers and being like, wait, we didn't put Daniil Hunter on there? It's like, not really.
Yeah, have you looked? Yeah.
I'm going with I'll be the first one to be brave. I'm gonna go Cunningham.
I get it. I think that's probably the best year that you could have. I think from I'm having fun perspective, it's Case Keenum. That was the most fun. But I think just best quarterback year, and which is not to say, of course, that 1998 wasn't fun, but it's just like the quarterback wasn't the whole reason why, right? I think the one-hit wonder here has to go to Cunningham. To me, the only question was whether or not he qualified as a one-hit wonder, and I think he does.
I think he was like 4 years removed from playing a full season. He'd been retired for a spell. Came in as a back. It's not like he was even the ordained starter. He was a backup. Came in week 2, went 13-1. Most explosive offense in NFL history. The vibes, the stats, it all adds up. Braun,
it's so hard for me to look at Cunningham and Favre and assign the phrase one hit wonder to those guys who are
that's totally fair.
Starters for other franchises.
The way Sam does it is he gives us some tagline, some slug, and then we just construct around it.
Yeah.
And then it's up to us. So I didn't know how we were going to define a one-hit wonder, because otherwise, like, Sam Darnold is an outstanding candidate for this, right?
100%.
And to some extent, Sam Bradford is too, right?
Yes.
A one game wonder. That 2016 year was not great. That was mid at best. I think because I'm doing this on vibes, not strict definitions, and the vibe of taking a guy that had their kind of retirement tour year, but otherwise had a great season and just had like a good retirement tour year here. It just feels so hard for me to call that a one-hit wonder when I could look at someone like Case Keenum or Sam Darnold and be like, yeah, remember the 1 year he had? That's a 1 year wonder.
So then the next question, I think, is if someone has a good year with the Vikings and then has a career after that, right? So he's 3 years with the Vikings or whatever. None of those years are good. Fourth year is great. And then he leaves and he has an outstanding career after that. Is that a one-hit wonder?
I think it would feel the same way to me. Like if Sam Darnold went and had a bunch of great years in
right. So
Seattle,
that was the Sam Darnold question. It's kind of a Rich Gannon question, but not really, because he didn't have that.
He didn't have a great year here. Yeah. Which I like, none of that was his fault. He was the quarterback of all of the post Herschel Walker trade teams. It was rough for a minute.
Knowing the totality of Case Keenum's career now, like seeing what happened after the year and before the year, that's probably the truest definition of it, because of how unimpressive everything else was. So I get that. I would probably nod my head and say, oh yeah, that makes sense to any of these four guys: Darnold, Keenum, Cunningham, Favre.
So Burrito Bill says Keenum had the most unlikely season, and maybe that's actually what I was getting at when I said 2017 was the most fun. That's actually maybe a better way,
because it was the most house money.
Yeah,
you had your quarterback go down. You had no Adrian Peterson, and you drafted this exciting Dalvin Cook, and then he went down by week 4, and you were like, "Oh my god, we're gonna do Latavius Murray and Case Keenum. This sucks." And then they won every game. It was insane.
And the miracle.
And the miracle was awesome.
Yeah.
I think Darnold in his year was a better quarterback than Keenum was in his year, which is why I'm gravitating towards saying Darnold and disqualifying Favre and Cunningham. Not necessarily. If we were qualifying Favre and Cunningham, I probably would go with Favre, but I'm gonna go with Darnold.
I think that's fair. I think Darnold was a better quarter. Like Keenum benefited more, I think, from the quality of his teammates. And I say that like knowing Jefferson and Hawkinson were saving some catches here, right? But it's just like Keenum put the ball in more dangerous situations and wasn't punished, whereas Darnold was playing good ball.
Yeah. This also maybe does come attached with a prediction about how things are going to go in Seattle.
Running back.
I am just less familiar with the ideal candidates for this one. It's outside of my time. Doing a little Pro Football Reference, searching around and stuff like that. A couple of names popped up. Mo Williams popped up, but I went with Michael Bennett. After looking at his Pro Football Reference page, it feels like that
one-hit blunder. Is that the category?
Yeah, well, obviously you have moments, right? You get your moments, but I mean, are we going to blame Case Keenum for the Philadelphia game? No, I think Michael Bennett qualifies here. Oh my God, Alexander in the comments just said Toby Gerhart. That's great. Actually.
That's a pretty good one.
I'm going to go with So my research was filtering out all the 1,000-yard rushing seasons in Vikings history. There's only 2 guys that did it just once. Mm-hmm. All the other ones, it's Foreman, Peterson, Cook, Smith, Terry Allen. When
the Vikings find a running back, the guy stays around for a while. They
do. So only 2 guys qualified only once: Ted Brown and Chester Taylor. Chester Taylor in 2006. That's going to be my answer. Before Peterson.
That's way better than what I was cooking.
Good actually. Plus he was a pass catcher too. A lot of these guys. All right, so
and Chester was good as the RB2 as well, but the
but there was the one season
starting season for Chester, very good. Anyone else want to toss out a name?
I think I was going to toss out Matt Asiata just by virtue
It's
of
funny.
scoring goal line touchdowns, but that feels a little
But he like
tortured.
wasn't like yeah.
I think
He
by
wasn't, like, good
the
at football.
criteria that you guys have gone with, where people who have had maybe better seasons, but it's the one season they had here, you could argue Latavius Murray. He did have 1,000-yard season as a Raider 2 years before that. So I don't think I'm going to say him. I think I'm going to go with your Chester Taylor, Sam.
Chester Taylor's good.
I think that's a good one. There are some weird ones throughout history where like the main guy got hurt and you have like a weird leading rusher, but they're all like 500-yard seasons and it's not really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with Chester Taylor. I like that.
Wide receiver. Let's do two of them.
Okay, I was wondering if we are going to do 2 or 3. I think historically 2 makes more sense, but 3 popped out at me. So, and these are all recent. But like the guy I really like, his name Joe Gilliam. He had like 4 years with the Vikings, so I can't.
Yeah, Joe Gilliam was good for like
Yeah.
all of the Super Bowl teams.
Yeah. So Sidney Rice and Bernard Berrien are the 2 I'm picking, and the third one that qualifies to me is Nate Burleson. And I'm a little worried because these are all recent guys. I'm probably missing someone.
Nate Burleson and Sidney Rice were my 2. Sidney Rice in 2009, over 1,000 yards with Favre, never had more than 400 in any other Viking season. Burleson, 1,000-yard season in 2004, never had more than 500 before or after that. Honorable mention, though, for wide receiver, Dwayne Bates. Bates,
Tell me about him.
2002, had 689 yards, 4 TDs with Dante.
So you're not including Bernard Berrien, who had a 964-yard season with the Vikings?
What did he do in the other years?
618, 252, and 91. A 91-yard season was not great. I'll.
Yeah, I mean, having almost 1,000 with T-Jack and Farrat is pretty good.
Yeah,
It's pretty
I think
good.
so.
I think
7
Rice.
touchdowns, man.
So you had Rice and Berrien? Those
Yeah, it
were
was
your
Rice and Berrien, and then it
Okay.
was and the argument was between Berrien and Burleson for me, and I think both are good arguments, but Berrien has that quality to me more, if that makes sense.
two? I felt like Berrien was good enough for 2 consecutive years that I think I kind of disqualified him on that.
The
on that
600-yard season he had with Favre was good.
Yeah, it's fine. He was the wide receiver 3, Arif. We just had this conversation. It was
And he was
Arvin
paid
and
like a
Rice.
wide receiver 1. He became the wide receiver 3 because he's a one-hit wonder.
Why haven't we coined that group 3 deep? Harvin, Berrien, and Rice. I'm just joshing. PC John.
Can I throw out a very hipster one?
Yep.
Please.
When you think of the worst Viking season, which one comes to mind?
Wide receiver.
No,
Yeah,
the
maybe
like
you-
season, the worst season
Oh.
of Vikings football ever. It's the Les
Yeah.
Steckel year, right?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's got to
Yep.
be the less.
It's got to be the Les Steckel year, unless you're going to get real weird about expansion years. How about 1984? Leo freaking Lewis, 5 starts, 830 yards, couple of 100-yard games in there, including one of their 3 wins, just popping off in a team that was otherwise doing absolutely nothing.
That's good. I
That's
like
really
that.
good. Great
Yeah.
pull. Great pull. I didn't go too far back in a lot of these, but a few I did.
That was
that's
his career
that's
best
if
season,
if we
by
had
the way,
3
by
wide
a lot.
receivers- If we had 3 wide receivers, because maybe it could be Rice, Burleson, and then you say Leo Lewis was his name?
Yeah, and he was in Minnesota for a decade, but that was the only year he did anything.
Hell yeah, my guy.
Go off. Tight end. I think there's a correct answer to this. Curious if you guys stumbled upon it.
Is it Shanko? Schlanko?
Schlanko?
You're thinking of Shanko. That's not who I think the answer is, but
Hey,
because
you can't
Shanko
correct me on his
had
pronunciation. He changed his pronunciation every year he was in the
Visante. Yeah, just roulette, right? I thought he had a good career as a whole, though. I thought he had like 4 good seasons.
Is that the case?
I check it out. I thought he was
Let's
fairly
find out.
consistent.
I think he works for my criteria.
Okay, so he had
High touchdown.
this is good actually. No, you're right. 596 yards in 2008, 566 yards in 2009, which was the season I was going to pick as fewer yards, more touchdowns. And then after that, 530 yards. This is good tight end production. I can't pick him.
People overlook the Shanko era. He was good with
I
different.
mean, it was followed by
quarterbacks.
like Rudolph, right? Like Rudolph was great, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
Ooh, I think I might have found it.
Oh,
Who you got?
Is it a big Joe Sensor season?
Joe Sensor.
you only had one season.
The greatest tight end season in
We got a
yardage
restaurant owning
in
restaurants in the
Vikings
cities.
history.
And he got one season?
He was only in the NFL for 5 years, and he missed one of them with a knee injury, and then put up 1,000-yard season in 1981.
Yep.
I just thought he had like 3-4 seasons. That's crazy.
That
no
is
other
insane.
Vikings tight end has 1,000 yards except Joe Sensor.
That is
Sensors is like
bananas.
It was like a few blocks away from where I grew up. I just assumed he was good.
Yeah. He was on the radio broadcast with PA for a few years. It felt like he was a big deal, and he probably was in the 1981 offseason. The podcasts were, Macho Meach. Great one. I don't know what the stats ended up being, but Aldrick Robinson.
Aldrick Robinson's
a good one, especially in yards per reception, right?
Yeah.
And then BTKI says BC Johnson, which I understand. I don't have an argument against it. I just don't like it.
I just think the other answers
the other
overshadow these guys.
We have a
these
bunch
are
of
indeed
great
one-hit wonders.
Yeah, we have a bunch of great answers to this. Also, I guess BC Johnson never got above 300. It felt like he was much more important than that.
Cross the BB bar. You can be mad that they cut him.
Yeah, can't be mad.
I'm still reeling from this Joe Sensor stat. That's wild. The only 1,000-yard tight end in Vikings history happened in 1981, which is a very funny year for that to happen. That was the last year of the Metropolitan Stadium, the year where people like hacksawed the chairs out at the end, and a man with a gorilla suit wandered onto the field, and nobody ever found anything more about that. If anybody knows anything about the gorilla suit, I have been looking for answers for that for 3 years. Please, someone tell me.
Alexander, you picked Charles Johnson. You have to pick guys that were like good the year that they started. Charles Johnson is rough, man.
Charles Johnson and Mike Wallace sure was a wide receiver room.
This list is turning into, in the chat, like in over their head team, like the all-time in over their head, like Toby Gerhart, BC Johnson.
That's a good team though. That's good. You get Christian.
That's
Ponder
a fun one.
You get Ty Chandler. Actually, is a pretty good running back for this one.
I'll put in 1999 Randall Cunningham.
Yeah.
Vikings mission, by the way. It was like week 6, and he was like, "Guys, I can't do this anymore. You're gonna have to roll with Jeff."
Call Jeff.
I mean, Donovan McNabb, kind of, right?
Oh, big time.
Oh yeah, the one-hit blunders for sure.
Spurgeon win.
So I assume we're about to do the offensive line. I didn't know what to do at fullback, so I just said Nafahu Tahi, but he started for 2 full
That's
years
pretty good. That's pretty good. He who famously knocked Adrian Peterson out of a game by punching him in the face.
Yeah.
Just rattle off your 5 linemen. We're going to get to Ron Johnson in a moment. I'm going Matt Khalil, 2012.
Yep.
Mike Remmers, 2017 at tackle.
Oh.
Mike Harris at guard. I think a very strong.
Yes, I went with Mike Harris and Brandon Fusco at guard. They're both.
You got
guards,
Joe Berger at center, right?
Yeah, I've got Joe Berger at center. Come on.
I would argue Berger.
This is just the 2015 line.
Yeah, it is the 2015 line. I understand Joe Berger had multiple years, but spiritually he's a one-hit wonder at center. Yeah. He did play guard. He played center for 2 years, I think. I want to say, but like it felt like he had the 1 year.
I strongly considered it. I actually went with Elfline's rookie year, but kind of like in the spirit of Khalil's.
No, Sam, don't do that. He was not good his rookie year.
Not better than Joe Berger at center, because if you do go with Elfline's rookie year, you have to play him at center.
So Matt Khalil, Brandon Fusco, Mike Harris, Joe Berger, and I didn't know what to do at right tackle. We could just do 2 tackles, and that would make sense. I looked up guys who had 1 year with high approximate value. Errol Linden. That's a guy. I don't know anything about him.
Isn't AV like a longevity thing?
Well, no. So career approximate value is. But you get season.
Single season.
Value.
Oh, I see.
And the great thing about approximate value for offensive linemen is that there's essentially 2 inputs: postseason honors like Pro Bowl and All Pro, and how many points your team scored. And that's kind of it. Starts is in there too, but we presume. So clearly, Errol Linden up there.
Big ol' Errol. We're going to get to our defensive one-hit wonder team after Ron Johnson, who is next on the Minnesota Football Party. We're presented today by Rougiette. Guys, you probably heard of Viagra, Cialis. You might have tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond that, it's time to meet Rougiette Ready. Next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal, boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue, kicks in fast, on average in just 15 minutes, with effects lasting up to 36 hours. That is a day and a half by my calculations. So you can stay confident that entire time. If the traditional options haven't worked for you, join the other 150,000 men that have made the switch to Rougiette. You can check out the customer reviews. A lot of people feeling more confident, more present in the moment. Head to Rougiette.com/LockedOnNFL. Use code LockedOnNFL to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL. Use promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information.
Can I throw out one right tackle that might make you all angry, but I think we got to talk about it?
Go for it.
Corey Stringer.
I get it.
At the end of his time, middling otherwise, big AV jump that one last year. Maybe it's just super like burned into our brains, but I think we got to go through the steps.
He appeared on my search and I disqualified it. Come on, man.
All right.
Controversy. Ron Johnson joins at 3Ron Johnson, host of the Ron Johnson Show, where on Tuesday, Ron, Dante Culpepper, the legend, showed up. It's a great interview. A lot of people have watched it. What was your biggest takeaway from Dante?
Well, for people that didn't know, the Hail Mary famous play that Randy Moss, kept saying like he knew Culpepper couldn't get it there. Culpepper said that was designed to be a short throw, that he had the arm strength. He could have gotten to the end zone, but he saw a wide open area, so he threw Randy Moss open. I love that he was willing to fire back at Randy on that one.
I like that he said too, like, yeah, we did that all the time in practice, not just Hail Marys, but they would just run pass plays and then flip it, lateral it for fun. And apparently Chris Carter was a big lateraler.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any good examples of Chris Carter doing it in games, but Randy did it in the game. And it sounded, Dante was loving Mo Williams too. He's like, yeah, Mo, just always hustling, always making plays.
Yeah.
It's a deep tradition in Minnesota. Like Jim Marshall and Wally Hilgenberg used to play that game all the time back in the like early dog days of Mankato, and ended up having a really famous one on Thanksgiving in 1969 against the Lions.
How are you the oldest person when Ron Johnson is here? That's crazy.
I got to talk about the old grab ass days.
I just watched. I didn't watch it, but it's on TV. The Austin Powers, when they froze him and he came back in time. Like that's pretty much Brian. He was cryogenically frozen from the 60s, and he's back now.
Watch the history doc. Patreon.com/LukeBrownNFL.
Ron, we had a good debate. We're talking about one-hit wonders all time in Vikings history. The quarterback debate got really heated.
Case Keenum.
So Keenum, Darnold, Favre, Cunningham were kind of our big four. Do any of those four, does Keenum stand out among those four?
Yeah, because the other three were were first round picks. They're still doing stuff. Case Keenum kind of like Darnold got another $100 million after being here. Favre was a Hall of Famer, is a Hall of Famer. You know, the other guys were like quote unquote celebrity star quarterbacks. This guy was like truly I'm just trying to think of like not even Milli Vanilli. Like Milli Vanilli, I guess, would be considered one-hit wonders, but not even. Like I can't even think of somebody who had one song like Weird Al Yankovic or something. You know, like it's just you come in, do one song, you make everybody or Gingham Style. You know, that guy never did any other song. Like Case Keenum is like Gingham Style. Like he had one hit and then he's out, and it's like we'll never hear from him again because he's not going to ever play again unless somebody else gets hurt. So that's why I think
several somebody's right. Like at this point in his career,
who?
Several somebody's right. Like,
definitely.
You're gonna have to go like down the list. At some point, someone's gonna go to Kirk Cousins before they go to Case Keenum.
Right.
Yeah, I think and Braun went with Darnold. I respect that too, just because of how people had quit on him, the seasons that he'd had, the stats he'd put up to do what he did. I thought was pretty impressive. I think you can make a great argument for that for Keenum, and then Cunningham and Favre finding greatness in the twilight of their career. All very good arguments. Luke Braun, what do you got for Ron?
Honestly, my question was about if you think these guys count, but you kind of already answered it. We'll go something super generic. Give me a good season-long Vikings hot take.
Season-long hot take. With this Brian Flores defense, I think Theo Jackson is going to seamlessly fit in as the next Cam Bynum. Like, I really feel like he's going to, and he's willing to take on. He said he was a part of every celebration. He was on my show earlier this summer too. And he said he was a part of all the celebrations with Cam and Josh Metellus, and so he's ready to take on the celebration role too. So I feel like he's going to just seamlessly, and Harrison Smith, he's been learning from Harry. So I feel like it's going to be one of those, like, not say he's the next Ant Harris, because Ant Harris left on him and tried to get paid elsewhere. But I think Theo Jackson hopefully just becomes the next Harrison Smith. Like he stays on for another year or two. Harrison retires, and then he takes on that safety role as the leader with him and Josh Metellus.
You think he's going to play every down like Cam Bynum did?
I think so. Yeah, I think he will be,
and keep Josh Metellus as like a rotational guy that comes off on base downs.
Yeah, I still think they're going to do the 3 safety thing. I just don't see Josh Metellus being a true strong safety. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but you got to have a little bit more foot speed to be on that back end. And when you go too high, I think Josh Metellus doesn't fit as a too high safety. I think he's better suited to run the middle like a linebacker. Which is what makes him unique. Like, he is a true rover. Like, I don't know, I forgot the guy from Florida State that made that position famous. But that's kind of back on the Peter Warrick days. But that's what I see him as a true rover. Like, he's a undersized linebacker and maybe not fast enough to be a true safety. Which he, right place, right time. Brian Flores comes in and makes him like a star in his role.
So one hit wonder wise, you had like a lot of options available to you when you were looking for songs, and I can't believe you couldn't find any. But like Tub Thumping, come on, Chumbawamba's Tub Thumping.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what? Who let the dogs out?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But like you fell on Milli Vanilli first. That was crazy.
Milli Vanilli and Gingham Style, and I don't even know if we can call Milli Vanilli one hit wonders.
Well, so apparently the Gingham Style guy is still like big in Korea or something. So he had like multiple hits in another country. I don't know if that counts.
Okay.
So my question is, so last year there was like a really nice article that came out about the way that Kevin O'Connell does like offensive game design and stuff like that. And one thing that stood out to me in that piece was that O'Connell talked about Bobby McCain, the safety on the practice squad, being a really big part of his offensive game design. So they would run whatever they would run on offense, and then he'd go to Bobby McCain and be like, hey, what did you see? What did I screw up? What would have tricked you? How could we have done this? And he credits McCain for being a surprisingly large part of the feedback mechanism. And in the piece they say, right, that coaches don't do this. They don't ask players from the opposing team or opposing side of the ball, what worked and what didn't work. In your experience, is that actually true, or is this just like sports writers looking for a story?
So I don't know, like that's a lot of a question. But I will say it's a sports reporter looking for something. But there are guys on team. So basically, Bobby McCain, he was saying help the team, but didn't do anything on the field.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, there are guys like that. I mean, who was just talking about this? Somebody just had this conversation. I can't remember who I was just talking to about this, but yeah, if you look at like backup quarterbacks, you look at practice squad guys. Dante Culpepper himself, he talked about how he got the defense ready, even though he was going to be a star. Nobody knew that at the time. Like, he was getting the defense ready. He said John Randall was like yelling at him, wearing face paint, doing all kinds of weird stuff in practice as if it was a real game. And, I'm pretty sure Dante Culpepper got that team like to where they were and ready to go, so there are guys that you sometimes might not ever see on the field that can really be helpful. There are older guys, whether they're later in their careers, they come in and help out, like Deion Sanders with the Ravens. There probably wasn't a lot. I mean, he did a decent amount on the field, but not a ton. But I'm pretty sure when I was there, we didn't interact with the defense much as far as like seeing their meetings, but I'm pretty sure Deion was in those meetings like telling all those young corners and Ed Reed and those guys, like, here's what you need to read. Here's where I can help you out at. So no, I don't think it's a fake story, but I do know like it gets low this time of year. And so, yeah, everybody's looking for something. That's why the one thing I've always been told is never do anything in the summer to give anybody an article or bulletin board material unless it's your charity. You know, like just do your charity stuff. Go hang out with your family. Stay away from the DUI. Stay away from the driving drunk. Stay away from the prescription pill. Stay away from Diddy. Like, you know, there's a lot of things you got to add to the list.
Good advice.
That's good. Year-round advice is stay away from Diddy.
Yeah,
pretty much. But, you know, I think that's the key too right now is like guys can really screw themselves up in the media's eyes and the NFL's eyes because this is a month. And when you have $1 million of cash just sitting there with a month to go, are you going to work out or are you going to get worked? Like, are you going to go do something so stupid that it's going to ruin you? And so that's the, you know, what did Batman or Superman with great responsibility, you know, great whatever power comes great responsibility.
Spider-Man's uncle. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, money is a huge superpower. And so you have to be responsible with that. And, you know, I couldn't imagine. I mean, at 45, I definitely know what I would do. I'd be with my kids. Like, you know, I'm older, but like at 20, 21, 22, I remember my days back then. And I remember my signing bonus, like, and it wasn't $1 million. And so I'm just like, and I still was like, oh man, where's the party at? So it's a lot, you know, but yeah, I think there are some guys that don't show up on the field that still help the team.
Ron, what's the most important thing to do in this month before training camp to get your body ready for training camp? Is it a lot of cardio? Is it strength training? Is it just working on your technical pass catching prowess if you're a wide receiver? Like how are you spending your time?
All of the above. Everything. Yeah. I mean, honestly, everything. This is your job. So if you think about people with jobs, and Brian Billick, I loved how he told us.
Think about people with jobs. Got it.
Think about people with jobs. Like Brian Billick told us, imagine you have an 8 to 5 job or 9 to 5 job. He's like, here's what you should do. And this is more off-season stuff. Like when you leave, because he would always say, like, because I mean, it was like he would always warn us, like, hey, the cops know this is your last day of camp before you get to go home. They are waiting on the highway because guys used to get out of there at like 100 miles an hour to get to the airport because some guys were so dumb, they would make their flight at like 2:00 knowing we weren't done till noon because they just wanted that flight because that was the only flight that was there to Miami. And so they're like, oh, I got to get to Miami, man. I got to get to the beach before it dries up. And Brian's like, the beach is not going nowhere. Like you could take the 5:00 flight. Like it's okay. But you know, that was always the joke. Like the cops are waiting for y'all leaving the facility. So do not zoom out of here. But he would always say, think about breakfast. Get up, eat a good breakfast. Like, don't starve your body. Even if you were out partying, hanging out, wake up, fuel your body. He would then go on and say, that morning, you know, get to work. Whatever you do, if you're going to work out, lift, do something, run. Then you could take your lunch break. You need to come back to work after lunch. Like, so whether it's like, so again, Sam, you pick. If it's, hey, I watch film in the morning, I'm going to work out in the afternoon. Blah, blah, all that stuff. Like that's the biggest part of this. Like you have to figure out what you do and you create a plan. So I remember, I think my second or third year, I forgot what guys, but it was a bunch of guys like Ed Reed. It was a bunch of us. And Sam Cassell was there. We would box in the morning. Bart Scott was part of this. We box in the morning. We go have lunch. We come back later. We do like hill and cardio work. We would, you know, be off for a little bit. Then we would come back later in the night and do route running with the quarterbacks. And so it was kind of like a full like day of like not overworking your body, but getting your boxing in, getting a little workout in, resting, then maybe doing a little hill work, a little, you know, stretching, cardio, moving on to something else, maybe do a little weightlifting. And then later that day, do, you know, some pass catching stuff. And then you're done by 4:00. Like you got a full day and you're done, and you do it every other day. You let your body rest, come back and do it. So you can go like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, giving yourself a weekend off and giving yourself Tuesdays and Thursdays off. And so that's kind of how we put the work in. And, you know, you got to do that. I look back on that time. I wish I had taken it more serious because I don't think I did. I think like college success, I felt like, you know what, I'm in the league. I made it. I don't feel like I ever pushed my body to the limit of like throwing up. Like I never truly pushed my body. Like I would, because it's me. I'm paying this guy to work me out. You're not going to make me throw up. And so I just wish I had done more because that's the one thing.
That made me bleed my own blood.
Yeah, I'm paying you. I'm not doing this. I never quit though. There were guys that would quit literally because they would be out of shape and the trainer would be yapping at them like, "Oh, you think so and so with the Falcons? You think he's doing this right now? You think he's sitting down on the ground? You a punk? Get up, get up!" You know, it was a different era back then. You call people all kinds of names. You can only imagine what they were saying. I used the PG version, but yeah, like I wouldn't quit, but I also like probably was trying to hold a little in the tank so I wouldn't crash out. Like. Now I see guys and I'm like, man, that's how you do it. You got to box, you got to lift. I mean, Cardi B, you just saw the Stephon Diggs video Cardi B put out talking about he was out running routes in the morning and then he was doing this and then she was showing him lift and talking about I hate her voice, but she's like, you know, if you see these young guys out here, like if you want to get it, you got to be it's 8 p.m. and he's in here lifting now. You know, like that's like, you know, a little bit of that. Stephon Diggs got cameras all over. Who knows? He's probably making a documentary right now, but That's
gonna watch the crap out of that.
That's the one thing. Cardi B, Offset, drama, text message to Stephon Diggs on the boat, explaining the pink dust. But yeah, like because he's got cameras following him everywhere now. So I don't know what he's doing. He's doing something with media. I know that, and he has some clothing line coming out. I Am Liam, I think is what it's called. But yeah, that's the biggest thing I see, Sam. It's everything you listed, all of that. But you got to do it within moderation. You don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to get cryogenically frozen and freeze your feet off like Adrian Peterson, I think, or whoever did that. But you
Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown.
Incredible.
But you know, you do want to work out though, because it's your job. Like literally, just because you have a month off doesn't mean you don't keep working on something. Because I'm pretty sure, like if you're Harrison Smith, you know what you got to do to come back ready to go. Nobody's taking your spot, but you don't want to get on the field and be embarrassed. And I think that's the key. You want to go out on top.
100%. Check out the Dante Culpepper interview on the Ron Johnson Show. Find it on Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel or audio feed. Thanks a lot, Ron. Great stuff as usual. Appreciate it. He's Ron Johnson, joins us every Thursday. Quick pause, and then we'll fly through our one-hit wonder defensive team. All right, edge rushers. Give me both of them, Braun.
This was pretty tough because everybody who was good in Minnesota was good for a long time. It's really tough to find somebody who was only good a little bit.
You got to find someone with a 9.5 sack season and be like, that it's him.
So Fernando Smith in 1996 had one season as a full starter. And then I put Ray Edwards.
Ray Edwards is nice, but he did have 2 seasons of 8+ sacks. That one was a little bit tough. I considered him. Zadarius Smith, considered him. I think that one makes sense. Again, if we're using a different definition of one-hit wonder.
I can't put him.
Right, yeah. Lance Johnstone, I feel like kind of makes sense.
Definitely, yeah. Was one season as the like premier starter.
Yeah, Doug Martin kind of makes sense. I didn't like that, though. He played so many different roles, right? Sam teased with Don Holtz, which I thought made sense. And Al Noga, I think, makes sense.
Don Holtz, I think, is an absolute correct answer on this. He typifies a one-hit wonder. Undrafted, played in 1963 with 10.5 sacks, 9 fumble recoveries, a pick 6 in 14 games for the Vikings. Then got traded to Philadelphia, spent 10 years there, never had more than 5 sacks, had a good long career, never touched what he did with the Vikings as a 23-year-old undrafted free agent pass rusher, Don Holtz. One of the great one-hit wonders that nobody knows about.
I'm going to go with Lance Johnstone and... Man, Ray Edwards feels right, but it doesn't work, I think. Don Holtz is good.
How about Zadarius?
No, I mentioned that, but like it depends on what definition of...
You guys could definitely talk about Zadarius as
give it our definition. I'll go with Lance Johnstone
singular year.
Yeah.
Chat's talking about people who weren't that good. I'm sorry, don't say DJ Wanham wasn't a one-hit wonder. That wasn't a hit.
You have to be a one-hit wonder, right? Like that's...
Well, I might have described him as a one-hit wonder, but I meant something different.
As in, he got one hit in a game.
And then you bounce off him and keep running. Yeah.
Afadio Denebo is a good shout, but that's definitely more name-a-guy territory than it is one-hit wonder territory. But I do like that was brought up.
I do think he was a
Defensive
full-time
tackles.
starter in 2020. Regrettably,
Defensive
this
tackles is
defense.
also tough because
Really tough.
super tough.
even guys like I can't put Sebastian Thunderpuckett in here, right? Like he had like
too
4
good.
seasons. He had 4 seasons, dude. He was great. I'm gonna put
Armin Watts in 21.
He was not good enough for that.
It's
I'm gonna
hard.
put Sharif Floyd in here.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
that one makes sense to me. And then Chris
He was
Hogan.
Tom Johnson was only a true starter for one season. I think.
Yeah, but he was like good all of those. He
was good as like a rotational guy, and then had one season where he was like actually the starter and it worked out, and
So I
then
assume
nobody
Tom
ever did it
Johnson's
again.
on your list.
He
Chris
is,
Hogan,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And then I did 2002's Chris Hogan.
Yeah. So I went with Sharif Floyd and Chris Hogan.
I went with Sharif and Armin Watts because I didn't know what to do.
There's no way Armin Watts is as good
Yeah,
as
I know.
2002.
He had 5 sacks out of the blue. That's the only basis for it.
Just grab
Yeah,
Chris
so did
Hogan
TJ
with
Watt.
us. We don't need to do this.
I don't think I even looked into Hovind. What was his like?
I mean, he was a
2002.
first round pick that like very much busted out and then went and played in Tampa and also like was kind of just middling. But he had like one random season where he popped off in 2002.
Yeah, he was like the second team All Pro that year, and then just nothing.
All right, you guys start debating linebacker. I gotta go out and in to fix the audio. Go ahead, linebacker.
Sure.
Go
Aaron
ahead,
Henderson.
Arif. I gave up on this one.
This one was tough. Aaron Henderson, I think, qualifies. Not
Okay.
EJ.
I wrote Ben Gedeon ? Exclamation point and then gave up.
That's rough. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
get
got
it.
nothing.
But no, I think Aaron Henderson counts because he had 1 year, and his year was actually not the year that he started. It was the year prior to him earning the starting job, where I thought was outstanding that year.
Oh, so he did the like good off the bench, and then he did the Nas Reed thing. You're good off the bench, and then if you need to become a starter, it's like a way different.
Yeah, so that, but it was like 500 plus snaps, right? So I wanted to take that. And then I'm going through the AV list, the approximate value list. I end up with Ray Berry and Dwayne Rudd, which I feel like is unfair to Dwayne Rudd. Otherwise,
I don't feel like was Dwayne Rudd ever good?
They include his 98 season, so
Okay.
I
I like Ray Berry, sure. One season as
yeah.
a full starter. Suddenly,
Yes.
I don't have great stats on it, but
sure. So Ray
I don't
Berry,
remember that
Aaron
91
Henderson,
defense.
Eric Wilson.
What's going on in 91?
Yeah.
Who do we land on?
We
I
only
gave
let-
up on this one, so Arif, take it.
We only landed on 2. It was Ray Berry and Aaron Henderson.
Yeah.
I mentioned Dwayne Rudd, but that's more of an approximate value determination. And Luke contends he wasn't even good that year, which is fair. So that's where I ended up.
I'm super dumb. He made all pros and stuff.
Who?
Yeah, no, Dwayne Rudd for sure. One random all pro year, and then like the thing he's remembered for is taking his helmet off in Cleveland.
Okay, yeah. So Dwayne Rudd. So those are 3: Ray Berry,
There we
Aaron
go.
Henderson, Dwayne Rudd.
I'm going with Eric Wilson in 2020.
Yeah, I was
1
thinking
year
about
as a
Eric
full-time
Wilson.
starter, 3 picks, 3 sacks, forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 122 tackles.
His
then-
his stats are good. I get it, but he sucked.
There were a lot of interesting debates that year. I remember getting
Yeah.
very mad online.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, James. I like the Eric Wilson pick. Also, I think this is a one-off that no one would remember. Fred Strickland, 1993, only year with the Vikings, a career high 137 tackles, and then he got out of here. But he had a long career. None of his seasons as good as the one in Minnesota. Fred, the Hammer Strickland.
Fred the
Hammer
Is that in his
Strickland.
PFR page, or you just come up with that right now?
Oh, I came up with that right now.
Excellent. Great.
Let's see if he
Strickland
has any.
hardware.
He
Let's see
did
if he has
start
any-
every game and get over 100 tackles on the 1996 Cowboys. That feels important.
But to your definition,
Yeah. Oh, true. Yeah.
all right. So,
All right.
defensive back. This one was tough for me too because I didn't.
This one
I
was
ran
a
out
lot
of
more fun.
time by the time we got to defensive backs.
You got to
Yeah.
do the Corey Chavis thing, right?
yeah. Corey Chavis and Anthony Harris, I think, are the safeties.
Yeah, and Brian Russell for kind of similar reasons.
Brian
I think
Russell, yeah,
like simultaneously with Corey Chavis, right? What was
Yes.
that 2003?
Yeah.
let me throw out Charlie West in 1971, kind of landing between.
It showed up on my approximate value lookup. Charlie West.
Landing between people in that 71 season where the Vikings, that 1971 Vikings was like a top 3 defense season all time in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It outpaces like prime like Steel Curtain years. It was wild. With him being like a random starter sandwich in between 2 other much more famous Vikings.
Right.
Wild season.
And then my approximate value lookup also produced Audrey McMillian. So,
Yeah, I went with at safety Ann Harris and Hussein Abdullah in 2010. Had a nice year.
Do we think Abdullah was good in 2010, or do we think he was good in Kansas City?
Good in Kansas City. I thought he was okay in 2010. Chavis is probably a better answer. Cornerback, Duke Shelley, clearly. The Duke.
The Duke.
That was a great year.
I don't think we're going to be talking about that one in a few years. I think that was a cute moment.
So Audrey McMillian at cornerback had 8 interceptions in 1992, made the Pro Bowl and All-Pro, and that was his second to last year in the league. He had 4 interceptions the year following, and I assume was cut after that, but just did not do anything. He was in the league for like 8 years, gets an All-Pro season at age 30. And then the next year at 31 has 4 interceptions. That's not bad. And then is not on a team after that. So I think that qualifies.
Yeah, James makes a good point. Ann Harris arguably could have had 2 good years. I can see that. I was struggling. Forgive me. One hit blunder, honorable mention. How about Chris Dishman, who had a 12-year career, stumbles along to Minnesota for his 13th and final year, and causes the Antonio Freeman catch.
Yeah.
Chris,
that happened. I'm looking at a different Chris Dishman. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a really barren time for cornerbacks, wasn't it? Early 2000s.
The whole like kind of late Denny, because the Denny Green defenses were always made of like weird. It was like what Kwesi does with like, let's get an injured guy that's like that's like cheap for a weird reason, but to like the extreme. Like they were always piecing together the has-beens and smaller players and injured players and older players. Like it was always wild, and it worked out really well for a minute in like the late 90s. They like kind of grabbed something, like retained a bunch of those players. And that was, John Randall and like Robert Griffith. And suddenly like those guys like actually became good players, even though they didn't have good reputations when they came here. And then once those players fell apart and they tried to do it again, it generated the like Mike Tice era defenses and some of the absolute most disastrous defensive seasons this franchise has ever seen. Like they tried way too hard to go do their like cute value thing.
All right. Those are the one hit wonder offensive and defensive teams. Before we go.
No. Hold on. We got to mention Blair Walsh.
Yeah. 2012 Blair.
Yeah. Like, I think that's like, I don't know if we have a punter, arguably Ryan Wright. Maybe Jordan Berry. I don't know.
Jordan Berry.
There's got to be a random one in there somewhere.
Yeah, but I think you have to go with Blair Walsh as the one hit wonder at kicker, right? That was a great year.
Mm-hmm. Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I mean he's had a record
rookie year, right?
Most 50 plus
perfect from 50 and beyond.
Yeah. Matt Khalil and Blair Walsh after that 2012 season. We thought Rick really cooked. Little did we know.
Hey, and Christian Potter has a lot of potential. Look at that completion percentage.
Yeah, look at that last 4 games, man. I was believing. That one against the Texans that they weren't supposed to win to make the playoffs. Oh man, I was buying in.
That's right. How fired up were you guys that Kevin O'Connell got snubbed from PFF's top 10 coaches list?
I learned about it this morning when I looked at your email.
I saw it. You got sent in a group chat, and the group chat's not a Vikings group chat, so no one brought it up. And I was like, I don't care enough to say anything about this. I think he's a top 10 coach. I think he's a top 5, arguably, coach in the NFL. I I forget who it was at PFF that did this because it's like a specific person. It's not like PFF as a company came together.
PFF, the famous monolith.
Yeah, but yeah, they're wrong. I don't know. Like, I think Zach Taylor was on that list. Like, come on, get out of here.
He won Coach of the Year. I feel like he got the recognition that he needs. I don't really care who you put in your top 10 lists, blogging websites.
It was very PFF blog.
Yeah,
very antithetical to what PFF is. I feel like they tend to adapt and say, past legacy does not impact current status, but they gave a lot of preference to like Sean Payton, who was number 2, and Jim Harbaugh, who's number 6.
Well, I mean, if you and I think this is a bad way to do it, but if you do it in terms of like wins above Vegas prediction or whatever, or sportsbook prediction, then Sean Payton has a really good argument, right? Because of how well the Denver Broncos did this year.
Yeah, I think that Broncos year is a good argument for Sean Payton. I think he did a pretty good job making that offense work, despite having it.
Any other coaches left off who exceeded their over-under last year?
For sure.
I mean, I think Kevin O'Connell should be on the list, Sam. I don't like, are you...
Kevin Stefanski's on this list. I'm pretty sure he's on the hot seat, man. Like,
yeah,
that's a good point. Actually, we should not have hot seat coaches on this list. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Matt
LaFleur snubbed. Matt
LaFleur's on the list.
Sean McDermott snubbed.
McDermott. No, Matt LaFleur's not on this list.
He's overrated, I think.
LaFleur is not on this list.
Oh, he's not on the list? Okay, I thought he was.
But like, I don't know. Take your top 10 list wherever you want to take it. Our guy won Coach of the Year. Everyone agrees on this now.
Yeah, okay. So it's a bad top 10 list. Great. LaFleur's not on the list. I hate LaFleur. He should be on the top 10. There's 1/3 of the NFL makes this list. Like, what are we doing?
It seems like there's a legacy thing going on here with, I agree with like Jim Harbaugh and stuff. Like Nick Sirianni being 8th and Dan Campbell being 9th is like,
Dan Campbell's 9th.
What more do they need to prove to you? Like,
yeah, right. You got a Super Bowl champion coach there. You've got, Campbell's winning percentage the last 3-4 years. It's probably
Campbell's been arguably the best coach in the league over that span. Like,
yeah, unquestionably. We'll be back on Monday. Minnesota Football Party, Locked on Vikings audio feed, Locked on Vikings YouTube channel. We're live Mondays and Thursdays. We get the Care 11 crew in on Wednesdays. We have a great time. For Arif Hasan, wide left, Luke Braun, Locked on Vikings. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Thanks for watching, listening, commenting, and subscribing. And we will talk to you next time.